welcome to Gardening with Daddy Pete. I'm Melvin York.
And I am Jay York. Thank you guys for joining us today for our Beginning into August podcast here.
Right. And August is, believe it or not, a great time for planting that fall garden. For a lot of areas that surround us here in North Carolina, of course, also in Virginia, South Carolina, some areas in Tennessee, naturally Georgia, pretty much the southeast, depending on whether you're in the mountains or not, more towards the coastal and Piedmont areas. You can always have the opportunity, the chance of planting that fall garden for fall harvest. So here in the 1st of August, it is the absolute best time to go ahead and get that garden started. And we're going to give you some tips on that and maybe a few other things too. Now, if you go to our website, which is daddypeets.com, you can follow along with these podcasts. Even after we're finished, you can go through, I think, Jay, YouTube, and what else? Can you?
Yeah, as you look along, I'm going to scroll along right here. We have a tab on our website. There's a link to the YouTube videos and a link to Podbean. So that will show you platforms such as Spotify, Apple Music, all that good stuff, wherever you would prefer to listen. And if you will look here, there's a little white button. Click here to send us your questions. You can put in your first and last name, an email, and a question. If you have questions or suggestions about something that you would like to see here on the podcast, definitely send them over to us. We are always willing to answer questions. That's what we're here for here at Daddy Pete's.
That's right. And while you're there, you can also sign up for that monthly newsletter. Some of the things, everything that we're doing here today, you can get that sent directly to your email. We don't sell your email address. We don't do anything like that. We don't charge you, and you get those once a month. And along with that, our team has also, if you'll scroll on down when you get that email, there's also some great recipes and timely recipes for depending, maybe even the holidays. But of some of the veggies you've grown, some of the fruits you've done, some of the things that you've preserved, you can use in these recipes. And I'm telling you, they are some great looking recipes. So go ahead and sign up for that monthly newsletter. It's an email that you get through your email. And I think you'll enjoy that. Now, I think the first thing we're going to start out with today, Jay, and the August is, and a lot of people might not think that August is a good time for that, but we're talking about raised beds.
Yep.
Okay. Raised beds has become a way of gardening. If you do not have a lot of space, if you don't row garden, I know that we're one of the lucky ones. We can row garden, or we can use raised beds, or you can use pots. I consider if you're using pots to grow along the same line as a raised bed. So when we're talking about this, and maybe you are using the 5 or 7 gallon pots to grow things in, go ahead and keep the same thing going that we would with the raised beds, or the same tips. Okay.
Yeah. And along with that, if you're watching us on YouTube here on our live feed, you'll see where I'm scrolling on the website. There's an older video that Dad, you did back a little while ago, a few years back. It's called Build Your Raised Bed in a Bag, Creative Gardening. That's something else too. Just a quick little plug for you there. Check out our videos here. There's some great information here on these videos on our YouTube page and on our website.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get with raised beds. And we did do an episode here not too long ago on how to construct and where to put it, what to use for your raised bed. And if you'll go back and look on our website and look at the archive of our podcast, if you'll reference that, that's episode 118. And that was, we actually did that in February the 5th of this year, 26. So go back and you can get that podcast, and it gives you everything you do. But this, and on the 1st of August is a great time to go ahead and build that raised bed. And some of the things we're talking about now, this is the things that you can plant or sow in them. Also, if you have raised beds and your summer crop is coming to the end, this is a good time to refresh those raised beds. Go ahead and pull all your weeds and all the old plants out. And you can either refresh that bed with our raised bed mix, or you can use our lawn and garden soil to help refresh those beds. Just go ahead and put it on top, stir it in, and then you can go ahead and get ready to plant or sow what we're getting ready to talk about today. Okay, now if you're direct sowing things, and the difference in what we'll be talking about is direct sowing or planting from transplants. Okay.
Yeah. So is there any benefit to, starting a transplant versus doing a direct sow in your opinion? I mean, what do you think?
Well, it all depends. Now, this time period here, and again, we go back to what we talked about, I think it was last week. Plants have a time from when you plant them, and that is the time when you sow them, when you sow the seed, and that to the time of maturity, there's days there, days to maturity, and different things have different days. Take corn, for example. Sweet corn, you're looking at probably 60 to 65 days. And you plant it early in the spring, and you have sweet corn in 60 to 65 days. Some of them may be 70. Now, if you're planting old field corn or corn like we use for silage for our cows, that can go anywhere from a 90 to 120-day corn. And all times in between, it could be 110-day corn, it could be 105 days. But that's the time when we actually plant till the time that it's ready to harvest. So the things that we're talking about now has to be fairly 60-day, 65-day crop. So being August here, the 1st of August, we need to go ahead and get them in the ground. So when we're planting things, sometimes you're better off to buy a transplant. Some things are still great at sowing, and we're going to talk about that too, okay? And here's some of the things that you can direct sow now, and a lot of people use is beets. Beets is a good winter crop. You can use that for the bulb, but a lot of people enjoy the greens off of the beets. So by doing that, there's different varieties.
Yeah.
Like Detroit and the dark Detroit. That's a tried and true beet. There's the Red Ace, the Ruby Queen. All three of those work well here in our area and probably in yours, but you could check with your local extension to see what variety grows well. But that pretty well will grow well in the southeast, as far down as South Carolina, mid-Georgia, middle Tennessee, North Carolina, and into Virginia. So that's a good crop. And the one thing with beets is, they're a hardy winter crop. So beets, and we'll talk about them in a minute, and carrots, I'm going to give you a little trick on those too. Okay?
Yeah, but like you were saying, too, going back to the variety thing, as we were kind of doing our research here, leading up to this podcast here, Dad has obviously been gardening a lot longer than I have. I'm
140 years.
Not quite that much.
139.
And that wasn't an age thing. I was saying, like, I'm kind of new. Well, we did it growing up.
That's what you whippersnappers are, yeah.
Well, Dad had us out in the garden growing up, but after that, I kind of got into the wrenching thing. So I'm just now getting my feet wet, getting my hands dirty back again. So I don't know a lot of these varieties here. So that was very interesting. I was looking around to see what was grown here in the Piedmont, in addition to the things that Dad had said. And so a lot of these varieties too, just kind of doing a little bit of research on that. It's very interesting. Some of these names here, like on your carrots, you got the Valeros, your Napoleons, the Danvers 126. A lot of your root vegetables is what you're going to be doing your direct sowing on right now.
Well, that and greens, yeah. And I followed my grandfather around, my dad, and they were both big gardeners. I didn't know you'd have a test after all these, but what was the beans we just planted? I don't know. It was a green bean. No, what kind? Okay. But anyway, we'll get past that. Carrots are a good one to plant. And if you're looking in the greens, let's talk about greens just a little bit, because something that I love, something that's very good for you, they're healthy, and something that you can actually enjoy while they're fresh. And you can also freeze those, and they work well when you do freeze the greens. We try to do that every year if we have them. Mustard greens, okay? I like to mix mine in my patch. I broadcast my greens, and I don't put them, but you can do this on a raised bed. You can do greens in pots, but I like to do mine in the row garden. So what I do is I till up a patch. I do that, rake it down, get it fine, prepare what we used to call as a bed to sow your seeds in. And then there's a way to sow that, and you can do your carrots and your spinach the same way. So just hang on a minute till I get to the end. I'm going to tell you how to do that. But some of your varieties of mustard greens, and you like to mix these and put them in, because everything gives you a little bit more of a hot flavor. Some of them gives you a mild flavor. Some of them even like spinach. Some types of spinach give you like a nutty flavor. So I find that when you mix all these greens together, you get a better taste. So with your mustard greens, you've got the Florida broadleaf, you've got Southern Giant curled, and you've got the green wave. Now, what we eat is, we used to call it the old-timey curly mustard, and I'm sure that would be your giant curl. A broadleaf type like the Florida is got a lot of wider leaf on it with a little less curl, but you'll find that giant curled is going to be a little bit smaller in width, going to be taller, but it's going to have a whole lot more curl to it. Another one is I like to mix my turnips in there, and I do 7 tops greens. I do turnip greens, and the turnips I use is usually the purple top. But then there's a good hybrid out, and it's a white globe, and it's more expensive, but it's a very mild turnip, has huge greens, and they taste like the tender green variety. So all these mixed together in your greens really makes a very delectable meal when you do cut them all together. But also keep in mind now, you still got your beets growing out there. If you want to snip off a few tops of those and throw in, that's good. Maybe you want to put some Swiss chard out in another place and put all these together. It works well. Swiss chard works well in a salad. Beets work well in just a salad, those greens. You can use the kale or the mustard out of your turnip patch, or your different green patch, and in salads, or you can cook them.
Yeah, kind of reading through a lot of these here too, it makes you think. With our recipes that are coming out in our upcoming August newsletter, just a reminder, we have one of those come out once a month, usually the first week of the month.
Right.
You're looking at your Swiss chards coming up, what you're planning, you're going to be getting into a lot of salads and stuff. So if you, a spouse, family members, real big on salads, this would be a great way to get them out in the garden. Let them see what they're eating too. Let them be a part of the harvest. But, we've talked about what's best just solely for direct sowing. Kind of moving on into what would be good for either direct sowing would also be suitable for transplanting too. So transplanting, that would be starting your seeds in something like a cell pack in a pot and transplanting them into your row garden or into your raised bed.
Right, or your pot garden. And but now the time's just about getting past for that here, the 1st of August. And some of these things that we're going over right now should have been started the 1st of July, usually, and those transplant would be ready by now or within the next week or so, which you'd have that head start, so to speak, on your clock of maturity dates. So,
and that's what you were saying too earlier, is you want to make sure that you're getting something with a shorter maturity date, especially if you're listening to this right now in the early August months. If you are going to transplant, make sure you're looking at that maturity date and pick your variety wisely.
Yeah, and also go to your local extension page in your area and find out when your frost date is. The good part about these, most of the things that we're talking about here, a light frost doesn't hurt them. It usually takes a freeze to get them outside of maybe some of the lettuce varieties, and we'll talk some more about lettuce here in just a second. But one thing that we started out with there, I think, is spinach, was it not?
Yep, and you were mentioning that nutty flavor. That Bloomsdale variety of the spinach is going to have that good, not quite bitter, but that.
It's a good nutty taste. It really is, and probably I like that the best of most of the varieties myself. Some doesn't have quite the nuttier taste that the Bloomsdale has, but I do like that. And it's a very hearty. You can actually sow those, and a hard freeze will freeze it down. And 9 times out of 10, when spring rolls around and the sun peeks through and the temperatures start warming up a little bit, and I don't mean 70 degrees because spinach is a cold weather crop, you may see it start putting on leaves again if you hadn't disturbed it, well, along with some of these other ones, your greens and stuff. So beets, again, is one. So these are things you want to take into consideration. You still may be able to plant these and then very early spring, go ahead and start harvesting some greens for that salad then.
Yeah, and you had mentioned about greens, mixing everything, mixing your varieties to get the optimal taste. Another kind of similar aspect of that is going to be your onions, buying them in sets or clusters. As we were kind of doing a little bit of research on our varieties there, getting a set of onions or cluster of onions versus doing one specific variety.
Yeah, and when I do onions, and years ago on the farm, we used to use the yellow onion sets, and we would go ahead and plant those usually in middle of October, and those onions would be fine all winter. And as you know, I keep the Egyptian walking onions growing in pots all winter, and so I can set out in beds and I give to people. And the thing about it is, a freeze on it doesn't bother your onions. I've never lost any of that, and I think we got down there last winter to 7 or 8 degrees for several days. So, and they done fine. They came back, everything done good. But if you want to get ahead for spring, go ahead this fall late, like an October type, while the ground's still decent. Go ahead and set out your onion sets. And then come the first of spring, they're coming up. They're already established. The roots are there. And if you want spring onions, that's the way to get those. But a lot of the plants that you're talking about, we can do with transplants. Was the spinach, also cabbage. Cabbage is one that you can do. There's several of those varieties. And these are varieties that's going to be in the 60 to 65 day category. Again, frost is not going to bother the cabbage, so you can probably in most areas still be getting cabbage around Thanksgiving. But some of those are the purple Savoy, round Dutch, and the early Jersey Wakefield. Now, with early Jersey Wakefield, let me give you one little bit of advice. That grows up in a looser leaf. It grows into a cone shape. If it takes on a lot of water, it is known to burst open. Whereas with the round Dutch or with the purple Savoy, which is a purple cabbage, and the leaves grow over each other and hide that where water can't get in, it repels it, grows into a tighter head, will last longer, and actually you can harvest it later in the winter that way too, just to give you that.
I remember growing up, you had set out and, you had your cabbage and stuff. And I was always kind of a picky eater growing up. And for those of you, let me back up here a second. For those of you that aren't familiar, Melvin is my father. I should note that. It's not like he had this random kid that he brought home or nothing. But
Good job done that too.
You have, Father Abraham. But the purple cabbage was always kind of one of my favorites. I remember you playing a row with that. When we were growing up, I was probably 9 or 10 years old. So that purple Savoy's always been kind of one of my favorite varieties of stuff. Even in a salad now, I still kind of seek out that red cabbage or the purple cabbage.
Well, you have the red cabbage variety too, which is Red Acres is a good one. But another thing is you're going to find out too that your cabbage is so much sweeter this time of the year too as you go into the fall. It's a whiter color the cooler it gets on the inside. It's sweeter, more tender. So this is actually a great time to do that. Of course, you can set out your cauliflower during this time if you want to. Another thing that's got a lot of taste like a cabbage to me in a lot of areas, but a different texture altogether. Cauliflower, you've got this snowball improved is one good one. You got the early dawn, and then you got Veronica F1. Now, F1 is mean that it's a hybrid, and what it's done is for disease resistant or for an insect resistant. It's been bred between a couple of varieties to give you that luxury of not having the disease that it would be with just the normal variety. But it is a hybrid. It's not a GMO
or a Formula One car.
Yeah, really.
Oh, yeah, you got your lettuce varieties. We'll talk a little bit more about lettuce here in just a second, but some varieties here that would be good to plant that are kind of those earlier maturity dates. You're looking at your Buttercrunch, your black Seeded Simpson, and then your red sales too. We were actually kind of looking at some tips for growing lettuce and stuff too. Instead of direct sowing, you could do something in a pot, something that would be easily covered just in case you did have a frost date. Kind of make your own covering for those in the event of an early frost.
Yeah, and if you want some inexpensive type pots to grow in, if you'll go around to some of your nurseries or your garden centers, and usually they'll have some extra pots where somebody's planted, pick up a 7 or 10 gallon pot that's anywhere 5, 7, 10 gallon. And those you can fill those with soil. Go ahead, and if they're calling on a fridge or whatever, just grab that pot, take it into the your carport or into the cooler part of your home until that period passes, and then you can put it right back out, and that lettuce will just Cadillac right on. Now, what a lot of people don't know is you can sow that lettuce now, and it'll be fine. Or the stores do have transplants. To me, it is a better economically to go ahead and buy the seeds and sow them. And you've got plenty of time to do that and go ahead and grow your own. And if you do like the mixture of lettuce, which most of us do when we're making a salad, get 3 pots and plant the black Seeded Simpson, which is an old-time favorite. It's a good hearty lettuce. It's got a little bit more of a bitter taste to it, where your Buttercrunch kind of heads a little bit. It's not totally a head, but it's got a sweeter taste. And then, of course, the red sales. It's kind of in between the two, gives it color. And that is 3 different color type lettuce, makes the salad look nice, but it also gives it a good taste. So those are 3 of my favorites right there, and they're easy grown. So, think about putting them in a pot or into a place. Now, lettuce is something that needs to be planted in a place where it doesn't get hot, full sun. Just partial sun is fine on lettuce. It doesn't take that much. And it would be better if it got a morning sun instead of the evening, just for that. Now, one little tip I want to tell you about if you are going to use seeds in your, you're going to use it in your spinach, your Swiss chard, you're going to use it in your turnips, your kale, your mustard, any of your greens, your 7 top, which is a good one. Any of those greens that you're going to use, carrots, if you're going to do those. And a lot of time, if you're broadcasting or even putting them in a raised bed or the pots, a lot of people, cause the seeds are so small, so fine, when you sow them out and you get this big clump of plants coming up in one area and you got the rest of the pot over here that has none. And then you've got to try to let them go out and then retransplant and go on. The best way to do that is take your seeds and do about a 4-to-1 mixture, or maybe 5-to-1 mixture of just get play sand. And put the play sand in a small bucket, put your seeds in there and stir them up. And that way you can take them in your hand and sift them out. And that's going to give you a more equal distribution of your seeds in whatever you're doing. If you're doing it in the garden, you're doing it in the patch, and you're slinging them out, or you're running them through a seeder, one of the little small hand seeders that does it, go ahead and make that mixture. If you're going to do it hand broadcast with your hands, still go ahead and mix that there, because you'll find that you get even, you use less seeds, and you're going to get a more equal distribution, and your plants are going to do better if they're not all crowded into one spot and you at least give them some room in between to grow by. Okay. So that's a little tip for you today. And I guess, Jay, we've just about covered everything, I think.
Yeah, looks like we've got everything we mentioned on greens. You know, you got collard greens as well, your Georgia Southern, excuse me, your Morse heading and your Bates varieties, just to throw a couple more things out for you here off of our notes. And then we were talking about salads, kale, your Red Russian, and your improved dwarf Siberian are some good varieties here for this Piedmont region of North Carolina.
One thing we did forget, sweet peas. My favorite. Yeah. Now, if you're going to plant sweet peas, you can do those in a row garden. You can do those also in a container of gardening or in your raised beds. Now, there's several different variety of sweet peas, and that's, everybody won't like sweet peas. I think, no, not everybody. I've run across 2 or 3 people that don't, but I love them. I do. And I've always, but with your sweet peas, you've got a sugar and variety, you got the Lincoln, and the old tried and true is Wando, and then there's an Alaskan. All 4 of those are good varieties and grow well. Now, if you're going to plant these in a raised bed, I do recommend till you get the optimum harvest out of there that you do put those on a trellis because peas love the vine. They'll run up, they bloom better, they stay off the ground, you won't get the rot on them, you don't seem like you get near the insects, and you let them grow up, and they do well too. Peas is one that will take a light frost, but they won't take a hard freeze. So that's something that you can do. If you're doing them in a row garden, make sure you put a trellis there. If you're doing them in a raised bed, trellis. And guess what? If you're doing them in a pot, you can still do a makeshift trellis for them, and you'll love it. And a good one to do that, use a tomato cage. If you've ever thought about that, what am I going to do? Take a tomato cage after you get them sown and stick it right down in. They'll grow right up through there, and you can pick like crazy.
Yeah, gardening's all about being resourceful too. Like we were mentioning earlier with those videos, getting creative. You even talking about like pots to start your seeds with. If you're using little 4-inch pots, the good durable ones, not the kind of thinner plastic ones. Using those, you can use those year and year again. It's not something that's a one-time use. Especially with the current economic state of everything, how everything's going on. Everybody's trying to save a little bit of money, and you're wanting to make this step into growing your own food. Those little 4-inch pots, those are reusable. It's a good investment. Make the investment now, and it'll pay for itself years in return.
Yeah, if you're wanting to start your seeds in something and you don't know where to get the pots and you don't want to spend that money, just go to your local grocery store, pick up a pack of the 8-inch styrofoam cups, the 8-ounce variety of those styrofoam cups. I think you get something like 50 in a pack. Take that and take something and put just couple little holes in the bottom for drainage because you don't want your roots to be standing in water, and use those. I mean, there's always a resource there if you think about it. Another way, if you're going to start smaller plants like spinach, take an egg carton, poke a hole in the bottom of the parts of the egg carton where the egg sits, and sprinkle your seed and your soil in there, let them come up. Even if you're doing like the 18 pack where you've got the lid part, go ahead, put a few holes in that, fill it full of soil, sow your things in there, and you can pull them out to do your transplant there. So, gardening is all about resources. And one thing we want to do, and, we want to reuse as much things as we can and not, because we do want to keep our natural resources. We don't want to keep just going in and taking when we do have things that we can repurpose and use, just like the egg carton. Instead of it going into your city dump or your county dump or being thrown away, use it again. Just make sure you wash it well, a little bit of soap or dish soap, wash it out well before you put that in there, and that keeps down disease, and you can use that any way you want to. So there's a lot of things that you can use if you stop and think. I know I've grown a lot in my coffee containers, the plastic coffee containers, and butter containers. I've used those to start transplants, or I've used those a lot if I'm doing cuttings or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's just so many things you can do that. Or maybe I get a friend of mine let me, he said, hey, I've got a blueberry bush that come off to the side here. It's got a few roots on it. And I want to, boost that up before I plant it. That makes a good container there, that coffee can does. Put some good soil in it, drill some holes in the bottom of it, and set that out and go ahead and get it. And so you got it in July. Well, I don't want to plant it until October. I want to plant it then. So I'm going to keep it in something and give it a chance to grow on and establish more roots. And then when I set that out, the chances of it making it through a cold winter for the first year is going to give it a very, very, increasing the odds tremendously.
Cut the top off of a milk carton or a laundry detergent.
Yeah.
Wash them out. There's all things you can find around your house for sure.
Things you throw in the trash can be your best friends as far as growing things.
Keep them out of the landfill.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we appreciate everyone that's tuned in today, and we do ask you that you'll go to our page, and if you do like it, hit that like and subscribe button. We'd appreciate that. Also, we'd appreciate it if you go to our website, look around there a little bit. If you do have a question or a comment, or you think we're crazy or something like that, you can go ahead and leave that on there too. And we still want to hear from you. Yeah. And, I promise you won't be by yourself.
Any criticism's good criticism.
Yeah. Doesn't mean we have to take it or even look at it, but, you can do it.
No, we will.
But we do answer all the questions one way or the other. No, we do that. And we do enjoy our listeners. And the main thing here at Daddy Pete's, we do enjoy helping you grow a healthy garden, healthy plants. So our motto here has always been, we help you grow. And that's kind of what we live by here. So, make sure when you go into your local garden centers and for the great companies that sell our product, Daddy Pete's, make sure that you're getting Daddy Pete's. Now, there's always going to be an imposter out there. Somebody wants to throw a spot on the bag that looks like ours. But, the bag's one thing. Like my grandfather said, paper will lay still and let you put anything on it. But what you're looking for, what's in the bag. And that's the Daddy Pete products. So go to our website and you can see a picture of the bags. And actually, you can look at our dealer locator. Just put your zip code in there, and it will give you the list of the dealers near you, the phone numbers, addresses, the whole 9 yards. So again, Jay, I guess we better get out of here, and I certainly do appreciate everyone tuning in and listening to us today.
Yep. Thank you, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, as Dad had said. We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next week.